Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to Wow Wednesday. I am your host, Nancy Matthews, one of the founders of Women's Prosperity Network. Delighted to be here with you, bringing you this midweek boost of motivation, education, and inspiration. And golly gee, we have been doing this weekly show since 2009, which makes it about 16 years. And I share this with you in this moment because I suspect there's somebody listening in that has some idea about doing something lingering in the back of your head. And you're like, oh, should I do this? Should I not? Oh my God, I would have to make a commitment to doing it forever. You know what? You don't have to make a commitment to doing it forever. Do it for now. Be of service, add value. And so go for it. Put that idea into action with inspiration to be of service to others. And I know many of you love that we've been inspired to keep Well Wednesday going. So think about that. Think about how you love having Wow Wednesday, and then you'll get to be that in someone else's life with your inspired idea. So I am delighted you're here with us. For those who may be tuning in for the first time, or maybe it's been a while, the format of our show is we're going to have an amazing conversation with our guest today, Kate Brown, who is known as the Healing Essentials Alchemist. Like, drink that in. Healing Essentials Alchemist. And we're going to be talking today about how to unlock your abundance and completely overcome doubt and overwhelm and frustration and embrace your true potential. So I'm so excited for our conversation today. Welcome, Kate Brown.
Hi, Nancy Matthews. So great to see you and to be here with some of my favorite women in the world because I love our WPN community. And you just talked about that and being of service and how in being inspired. And I feel like every Monday I get that. And now when I get the opportunity, I listen to Wow Wednesdays, a lot of times the recordings, because my
Mhm.
niece makes me go to the gym on Wednesday mornings usually. So.
Go niece. I'm going to say a high five to the niece. That's
Yeah, way to go,
awesome.
Maddie. Keep me
Yeah.
going here.
That is so good. And Kate, I want to thank you for making time to be here with us today. And let me tell everybody a little bit about Kate, and then we're going to jump into today's conversation. So, Kate Brown, the Healing Essential Alchemist, is a spiritual guide and a certified clinical aromatherapist who is dedicated to empowering women who are driven by a deep sense of purpose. I know that's who's here, but frequently halted by life's stressors and demands. Her expertise lies in harnessing the natural power of essential oils to enhance lives and foster resilience. She focuses on creating personalized wellness strategies to be the catalyst that help women overcome barriers to their well-being, allowing them to live out their purpose with ease and success consistently. And we are delighted to be here with you today. And I'm going to kind of start us off, Kate. How did you get on this path with wellness and healing and essential oils? How did that come about for you? Because I don't think you like have been doing, you've been doing this your whole life. Like, what happened?
Yeah, so really about 20 years ago, things switched for me. I was very unhealthy in every aspect of my life. My relationships were not great, not with my husband, not, I had surface friends, but not people that I really felt like I could trust and that I could confide in. And I was unhealthy. I had a very bereft spiritual life. I mean, I can say now that I know I was getting support, but I did not feel it. I wasn't connected to it. Emotionally and mentally, I was a mess. I was on 7 different medications for
Wow.
depression and social anxiety and all of those sorts of things. And I was a wreck. And, really, I finally listened to that little voice within me that I'm sure had been screaming for the last 20 or so years. And
Hmm.
I had turned 40. I was probably 41-ish when this happened because it's been about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we started using some essential oils for one of our horses. We had kind of miraculous situation. In yes, it helped her physically, but what happened with her and her behavior with the rest of the horses and with us, and it was like she softened, and she lost that wounds and the trauma that sometimes with horses you don't know, because you don't always
They
know
can't
what
communicate,
happened.
right?
Yeah, and I started to tune back in, and I realized that I started to remember that when I was young, that I really could like talk to the animals and connect with nature, and I had this whole different, connection with things and with myself. And I felt like I had floated along in my life and let just gone wherever the world took me, and with no goals, with no dreams, with no purpose. And I had no idea what I wanted to do in my life. And here I was 40 some years old and, kind of ugh.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because as you're talking about this, I think there's a lot of us that end up somewhere, and maybe that's why midlife crisis, right? I like to call it midlife creation. When we're children and then teens and young adults, we just follow the path that seems, prescribed for us,
Hmm.
right? And we follow that, follow that, follow that. And then all of a sudden, and I know the same thing happened for me right around my early 40s. I was like, what am I doing? Like this doesn't feel good. I
Right.
had all those markers of success that I was striving for, that I was supposed to, but I didn't feel good on the inside.
No,
So I
and
think a
and
lot
I
of us go through
appreciate
that.
that so much, because it's so much how I felt, and I couldn't even put it into words. I didn't even know how much I was really, I knew I was struggling, but it only in hindsight can I really look back and see, oh my gosh, what, there was nothing in my life that was really working. Um, but luckily I listened, because
Mhm.
it was the important piece was to listen within, and to start to let go of all of those fears and all of those doubts and all of those things those traumas in my life that I was holding on to like they were my best friends, right? Like like why,
Right?
I carried around such a burden with me every single day. And I was so connected with those past hurt places, instead of saying I had to let those go, and I had to, and I feel like it's still, 20 years later, it still is evolving, and I'm still learning, and there's still layers of that I'm releasing and letting go, on a regular basis.
Mhm.
And we ebb and flow with that, but it's just, I mean, and even the last few years have really taught me, we've experienced a lot of um, just some big upheavals in our
Mhm.
lives, in my
Mhm.
personal life. And it allowed me to take my foot off the, I had to take my foot off the gas from a business perspective, but then to be so grateful that I had the ability to do that, to take care of my husband and take care of some things that were going on in our life, take some, family things. And it was
Mhm.
just, to be able to like reconnect with that, and reconnecting with WPN, because I had to kind of take a little break there too, and coming back in, and being able to be supported in so many different ways in our lives, in my life, that I get to experience that and to be grateful. And one of the things that, and you really helped me with this, Nancy, too, is that, looking at every day and every moment as, how is this happening for me?
Mm.
And that just to be in that constant state of gratitude, that even when things don't feel like they're going perfectly well for me, that I know that that it's divine timing, and that there's a reason this is happening, and that I can be in gratitude for whatever that lesson is, for whatever that blessing is going to be that's going to come out of this situation.
Mhm.
And it's really made me recommit to my mission and my goal, where we have a safe place to be with one another, where we have this community of support that we can have for one another, and where I can help people, I can help
Yeah.
myself, and in doing so I also help others to be able to heal and amplify, and their purpose in this world, and
Mhm.
connect in different ways with what it is that makes their heart sing.
And you do it so beautifully. She.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited you're here. I look forward to everybody connecting with you further, um, because this path, we have storms in life,
Mhm.
whether it's money or business or health or family or relationships, like that's just part of what happens on this journey, right? And when you talk about, being able to look at a situation as it's happening now and see and ask the question, okay, this is really not good right now, right? And then because it is, right? If we look at what is right now, we could look at it and say, oh, this is not good. And we could get sucked down that spiral, or look at it from the perspective of asking, okay, so how is this happening for me? And what I wanted to point out here, that ability to pivot mentally requires a lot of practice, because we've been practiced in the opposite direction.
We have, and I still find like, I can get with certain people. There are certain people in my life that maybe are a little more negative in nature. And it's like, just the other day I was with somebody and it was like they got onto this whole woe is me. And all of a sudden I realized I was joining in for a minute. And then I was like, no,
Hmm.
this is not who I want to be. And maybe I can do something to share with them. And so we turned it into, and we did a little session where I helped them release some blocks, and then we
Oh,
got to have this
beautiful.
really great conversation about how we can let go of some of that, but we can also look at those things that feel negative, that feel like they're maybe even impossible to overcome right now, as something that's going to actually make our lives better in the future,
Yeah.
if we can find that lesson within there.
Yeah, and I think especially in times of challenge or difficulty, having somebody that can give us a new perspective, another way of looking at things is absolutely essential.
It
Um,
is.
absolutely. So I love that you're here to serve in this way. Let's talk a little bit about this concept of unlocking abundance. So I'm curious for everybody listening in, put down in the comments below, how would you like to unlock abundance? Like you're hearing it's there, people are telling you it's there, but Barnett, why can't I get in? Right? How do I open this up? So let's start talking about how do we go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and there's just so many different ways that we can kind of look into that and connect with that. And one of the, as we look at that, I kind of look at three key points that we can work with in our own lives. And first and foremost, and it feels simple to say it, but it's not always, especially when you're in the moment, is recognizing and addressing burnout. And that's a big piece for a lot of us. And then how do we balance all of the things we have going on in the world, all those responsibilities, all of those people that we're trying to serve? And we have to balance that with taking care of ourselves, having that really great piece of self-care that becomes a habit, that I have to do it even when I don't want to do it, because I know that
Mhm.
in doing that, that I'm not only taking care of myself, but that's how I take care of everybody else. And then the third thing that I find to be so important is the power of community and support networks. So how do we connect with other places, other people, other connections that we have, so that we feel supported? And sometimes that takes time, because sometimes we join groups. I know, I'm sure all of us that are entrepreneurs have probably had the situation where we've connected with a coach or a coaching program, or somebody who was supposed to help us do these things that hasn't gone that well. I know early on in my career I hired someone to do my website, and it did not go well, and I end up losing a lot of money and not having a website.
I would imagine there's lots of people with that exact scenario. And some of you,
Yeah.
those who know me in the community, I'm a geek and I love websites and all that tech stuff. And you do too.
I
And
do too.
I suspect you learned it because you got tired of being held ransom and not being lowered.
Exactly. And so sometimes, it was that necessity that kind of facilitated that. Now I know how to do this stuff, and sometimes I don't have to hire somebody to do it because I can sit down and do it quickly myself now. But
You're gifted in that area. So
yeah,
let me just
yeah,
say,
I do love it. And and for a long time I feel like even that I, kind of went through this whole thing with that, where it's like, oh no, I need to be over here in this energetic, supportive, serving side. I don't need to. And it was like I started to ignore that part of myself, that left brain, that part that likes science and math and understanding the
mm-hmm,
why behind things. And like now, so finding that balance and connecting with all of that becomes so important with
mm-hmm,
it. But my point to that, saying that though, was sometimes we try something out or try something on in a community and it doesn't work. And then we get frustrated and maybe we give up or we quit looking or we stay in some place that's not really supporting us in the way that we need. So I really encourage people to look for the right place. And of course, WPN has been a touchstone for me. And you have been that for me. And I know, and some people in my community feel that way about me too, that
mm-hmm.
that brings that for them, and finding that right person to work with and those communities to support us becomes so important to our own lives, that's a part of self-care.
Yeah. So
It's
let
making
me ask
time
this
for that.
question because I've had that experience inside of some other communities and or going to a networking event or a conference or something like that where I was looking for that support and guidance. And I'll tell you this, when I've been to I had this one coach early on, and I was feeling not at home. I wasn't feeling fully supported. But what I made up at the time was there was something wrong with me,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? So how do we distinguish, and this might even tie to recognizing, burnout and things like that. How do we distinguish what are the signs that it's time to make a shift, whether it's in our career, in our lives, from a community, from a relationship? I think that's all in the same bucket, so to speak. So, how do we recognize these signs that it's time for something to change?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I like to, kind of think about is, how are we feeling? Like sometimes we really need to check in, and we get so like almost on where we're living on that adrenaline burst, and then we realize that starts to go away, right? We start to
Mm,
feel tired. That sometimes, and maybe you've experienced this, some people, I know I have in my life, that it doesn't matter how much we sleep. We're it doesn't matter what we do to take care of ourselves. We are just can have that chronic fatigue and that
yeah,
feeling
dragging. Yeah.
of just, deep-seated exhaustion that touches every part of our life with that. And for me, one of the things that I love to be able to do, and I do it all the time, I do it multiple times throughout a day, in fact, is to reach for my essential oils, because essential oils have long been my catalyst, Nancy, for the things that I do.
I'm
Um,
reaching for mine right now,
yeah, and they
everybody.
changed my priority. So I wanted to share with everybody. I have this little blend that I make that's called my Daily Boost. Um, and I put it in a bottle, I label it so I know what it is, and then I
Okay.
can grab it. And I'll share my little recipe that I make it with, but you can make it with whatever oils feel good to you and whatever combination feels good. But what I do is 4 drops of rosemary, or 4 parts. If you're going to I make a bigger bottle. So 4 parts rosemary, 5 parts grapefruit, and 6 parts pines. So if you were
Ooh,
just wanting
that's
to make a little one, 4 drops of rosemary, 5 drops of grapefruit, 6 drops of pine. And these
mm,
oil, I didn't just like accidentally, come up on that and just decide, oh yeah, that's good. But grapefruit is like so great for uplifting your mood and revitalizing your spirit. And rosemary is so wonderful for our minds. It sharpens our focus and it brings in clarity and it helps us remember things. And then pine is wonderful. It's alerting. It helps us, makes us feel more alert, and it renews our energy. And it really keeps us grounded, especially when we're feeling a little bit of overwhelm. Yes, that was the right combination, or 6 drops of pine there, Laura, not 5, 6 drops of pine. And I love this combination, and it smells good. And I don't use it late
Mhm.
at night. It's not one that is a bedtime one, but
Right. You want to switch.
during the
Yeah.
day. And even
So,
if you just open the bottle, that's fine. But even better if I like to put a drop on my hand. And if the day feels like it's getting away from you, and whether you use this one or just grab your oil, whichever one that it is, and just take a minute. Like I like to say, we can create a moment of happiness. We can shift our focus, even if it's just for that minute, and give ourselves that little break. But when we rub it between our hands and we open up that fragrance of the oil, and it starts to permeate all around us and within us.
I
And
want to
just,
do it.
I know, and just if we take a couple smells, and come as close as you want. I like to come close. I do what we call a scent tent. You put your thumbs on your cheekbones and your index fingers up here in the middle of your forehead, and close your hands in prayer. Ah, and
Oh,
just
that's yummy.
breathe in and take a couple deep breaths and let the oil share their wisdom with you.
Mm.
Notice
And
where it goes. Like I just felt almost like my feet just hit the ground in a different way, because I was a
and
little keyed up about being here with Nancy this
sure.
morning.
Yeah. And I want to share that I love to find hacks, as they call them these days, to create a shift in mental state, because sometimes I'm dealing with something that's frustrating or overwhelming. I can't work on it. You're building a funnel, you're creating emails, you're dealing with a client, you're looking at your bank account, that's not where you wanted it to be. And you're like, I know all the mantras to say, I know the affirmations, I know I need, but my brain won't allow it in that moment. This creates a physiological shift. That's what the oils, I mean, it's so many things. I'm just
Yeah.
pointing out for me the importance of it.
Yeah. And scent is so important. 75% of the memories that we have every single day come from smelling something.
That's, yeah, yeah.
And and it opens up that powerhouse limbic emotional center in our
Mm,
brain as soon as we bring it into our nose. Instantaneously, that happens.
yeah.
And the shifts happen physically. Like you might notice, like I kind of noticed I've had a little bit of tension in my right shoulder, that just drifted away just by taking that moment and smelling the oils for
Mhm.
a moment. We may feel more grounded, more aligned, more centered. It's something I love to do before I get on a call or before I have a connection with one of my clients,
Mhm.
or just when it feels like, oh, sometimes it's with this one because I love it that it gets me motivated. Sometimes it's like, I really don't want to have to work on that today. But I know I need to get it done, right? If I don't
Yeah.
get this done today, tomorrow's going to be ugly, right? Because I'm going to have to add that to my to-do list tomorrow. And like when it feels like we're stressed out by our to-do list, like that's a sense of burnout. We should
Mhm.
love what we're doing. And hopefully everybody on this call who's an entrepreneur and working in a field and serving people in a way that fills their heart and fills their spirit, that when we can work this way, and we should love what we're doing. I know there's pieces of everything that we don't love, right? Like I'm not a great writer. When I have to sit down and write a series of emails, like that's stressful for me because I don't love writing.
But
But
the universe gave you ChatGPT.
the universe gave me ChatGPT, right? Yes, exactly. And now there's even a AI function within my website that I can use. And so like I get support. I find ways around that. And sometimes like it's like, oh, I don't feel creative. I don't know what I'm going to do for that. And it's like sometimes we just need a minute. And for me, because the power of scent is so incredibly shifting and it changes our focus so much, like for me, grabbing an oil, taking a moment, and everything changes.
So, and I've had this experience, really anew since I've gotten to know you and the Institute of Spiritual Healing and Aromatherapy. I know you're a trainer with them, and Healing Touch for animals, and so many things that you've opened my eyes to. Share with me. We're going to go to Q&A in a few moments. So think about what questions you have, and then we'll be able to, I'll let you know when we can open up for that. Share with me, because you teach aromatherapy, you're a certified clinical aromatherapist. What is the distinction between, why would somebody want to go ahead and do that? Like, there's so much about oils, but I can just say, oh, I like this way this one smells or this one makes me feel. And I know you have recipe books that you've written. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about essential oils in that regard.
Yeah. So, I walked into this like thinking I just needed more education for myself. I was using them for myself, for my animals, for my family, and I wanted to know a little bit more about it. And that's how I walked into this, not ever thinking I went into this for certification. But certification has become more and more important. And actually, I was just a rule follower, Nancy. So I did my homework and I took my test, and because that was what you were supposed to do. Um, but actually, after the first class, it so changed me. I felt spiritually connected for the first time in about 20 years. And um,
Mm,
I had a whole different outlook on my life, and it changed the trajectory of my life going to the aromatherapy program at Institute for Spiritual Healing and Aromatherapy. And
mm,
one of the gifts of my life that I get to teach there, that I get to bring this information to others. But what I love to share with the oils is there's a rich history. We know now that, that we 18,000 years ago that there were cave drawings in France of people utilizing essential oils.
really?
Yeah, that King
Wow.
Tut, that there's, his mother anointing him with the bowl of oil. Um, there's
I
pictures
was
of
just going to,
that.
when I was in Greece earlier this year, I can't remember the name of who the god was and everything, but they used essential oils to heal people way, way, way back when. So this has been going on, and it's about what's beautiful, using nature
Mhm,
for our healing.
right.
So let me rewind. When you had your midlife creation, let's call it, or your shift. Oh my
I
God,
love
right?
that. I midlife
Uh,
creation. I'm gonna
midlife
steal that,
creation,
Nance.
yes. Yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead. I actually have the .com. I must do something with it one day. Anyway, um, when you did that, you said you were really, unhealthy, unwell, 7 different medications. Did How did the process that you went through, and we're not doctors, not prescribing anything, be very clear disclaimer. How did your life and that physicality shift for you?
Yeah, so I made a strong decision that I knew that the medications weren't working. I'd been on them for over, 20, 30, 20, 25 years at that point, and it was a constant merry-go-round of
Oh,
trying different things and new meds and nothing really helped. In fact, I think
I'm
it
sorry, I
probably
got like an
made me get
earplug in.
worse. I would say that I'm probably medication resistant, and some people are. Um, so I knew I needed new tools. And for me, aromatherapy was that tool that brought in not only a way for me to shift and heal from what had created this in the first place, because I'm now a firm believer that we have emotional and spiritual root causes to everything
mhm.
that's going on with our mental and physical health. And so not only did it allow me to shift that, but it opened me up to a whole different community support. I used to be very reluctant to be in a community of women. And now I feel like that's my safe place, because I found the right community of women,
Mhm.
that I had been betraying myself for so many years. And I surrounded myself with people who betrayed me too, because,
What-
you know, that's what I was bringing in. That's how
Yeah.
I thought about myself. And so essential oils were this catalyst to shift everything for me. And I was able to get off of all of my medication. And
Wow.
I was able to heal in a different way. And after, 35 years of therapy or 30 years of therapy, like that, I found different ways to support myself and to be vulnerable. Like I used to hide, that I was diagnosed with a mental illness. Now I don't even like to, have that diagnosis necessarily, but it's important for people to know that feel that way, that there are other options out there for us. And maybe it's in conjunction. I like to think about what I do as integrative, and I like to think about holistic health as the best of all the options. And that includes our modern traditional medicine, but
Hmm.
best of all the options that are out there to help us, to be in the moment, to be aligned with our true self, and to be authentic about who we are. And even if that authenticity means that sometimes I'm a mess, that I'm not perfect, that I'm a flawed, wonderful, creative human being that has a purpose in life, and that I want to make an impact on this world. And that I want, my goal is to help other people make an impact in this world and find that same place for them, even though it may be very different from where I'm at.
Hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. So kudos to you for finding your path and sharing it with us and giving us these tools and essential oils. So I have two that I keep on my desk, and I'm traveling today, so these go in my purse.
There you go. I love
I
that.
was like, they're coming with me for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so in terms of unlocking abundance, it sounds like, as we talk about, recognizing burnout and finding balance in communities, it's a matter of being able to um, remove the resistance to the abundance, right? Like if we think about, when I heard you talking about this, and, if I want to unlock abundance, there's a bunch of roadblocks that I've
Mhm.
put in the way or that I let get in my way. That's what we need to do. And that's why we need, tools and support to remove the roadblocks. Oh, there it is, right? It was there
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, and for me, like I felt like the roadblocks were so big that I couldn't even see around them sometimes. And then I realized I was creating them for myself by hanging on to all of these past traumas, these things that I had perceived as being, well, I can't go that direction because, this happened the last time I did. Just like what I said about the website, like I could have given up then, right? I could have said,
Yeah,
well, this
yeah,
is, I'm not supposed to do that. And really it was, I can look back now and say, I didn't research real well that company, that person, and I wasn't clear enough. And I think clarity is a big piece. I wasn't clear
absolutely.
enough about what I needed and what I wanted to do with my business in that particular case. And so in not having clarity and not having focus and not being really truly aligned with where I wanted to go with my business, I couldn't explain that to somebody else. So of
And
course I
sometimes
didn't
we
get
don't
a
realize.
good
Yeah,
result from that.
yeah.
So being able to do that, and I use my essential oils, and I use a practice called light body alignment, and my healing touch work, and I love to use crystals in my working with people, that ways for us to find different tools that we can pull out in those moments when we really need them. And I think part of what I love about essential oils is, there's always bottles sitting around my house somewhere. I can
It
always pick
is
that up and
beautiful.
grab it and just take, we have to breathe anyway. I can smell in my oils while I'm breathing, and, make that shift and get myself grounded and centered again, into that place, and let go of maybe that old thing that showed up for me today. that I
Beautiful.
thought maybe even I had healed and decided to, that's out here and still needs to be peeled away. Just that extra little
Just a
piece.
little bit, tiny
Just
little
a,
bit.
and
Yeah.
sometimes we get really connected to those old habits too, that we've allowed ourselves to let go of energetically, but
Hmm.
we don't know what to do different because this is the way we've always done it, right?
Yeah,
We've
that's
always said, oh, I can't do it that way, or yeah, well, you don't know what I've been through in the past, so I can't change that.
yeah. I recently started using this phrase when the question when the words or the thought comes up, oh, I can't do that. But what if I could?
Mhm.
But what if I could? That actually just because I can't do that, closed. But what if I could? You're actually giving your brain permission and your spirit permission to explore other things. So we
Yeah,
want to give, well, I want to give everybody the opportunity to ask some questions. So we'll do that. And I want to, you have put together, there's several ways for all of you to connect with Kate Brown. So first of all, the website that you'll go to is Kate Brown Healing Essentials.com. And I will put the link in the chat in a moment. So Kate Brown Healing Essentials.com. And you can get an ebook from her on lucrative living. She's got some free resources there. You can see how to get some essential oils for yourself once you connect with Kate. And I asked Kate to put together something special to support all of you beyond today's conversation in unlocking your abundance. So she put together a special gift and package for you. Describe it while I give everybody the links.
very good. Thanks, Nancy.
Please.
Yeah, it's called Trinity for Abundance, empowering your body, mind, and spirit for lucrative living. And it's really a 3-part program that is on demand. You can listen to it whenever you want. Each of the sections, so there's 3 parts, taking, nourishing our body, our mental and emotional well-being, and spiritual fulfillment. So there's 3 separate modules for you. They're not very long, around 20 minutes-ish. And then I've added meditation, about a 10-minute meditation to go with each of them, that you can go back and just listen to the meditation if that feels better for you to take a look at that. But it's about how do we create harmony between our body, mind, and spirit, and have some actionable tips and tools and self-care practices and these guided meditations to really let us look at that things as not, as Nancy was just saying, as not being closed to us, but that maybe there's just a block that we need to release and let go so that we can get to the other side of that, so we can see how that path opens up for us. And then, really looking at how we unlock our potential for a more purposeful and a more resilient life, so that when those things happen, that we don't get crazy, that we don't say, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I can't go on, I'm overwhelmed by everything that is there. So it's really about, taking a look at how we can shift that, and sometimes just reminding ourselves of how we integrate these things into our everyday life, that just little things on a daily basis, those small acts that we do just make a huge difference in everything that we do, however we do it.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
how we can expand and amplify our connection, our purpose, our alignment, why we're supposed to be here. And one little thing that we might be doing for our physical self that then has rippling effects across the board for us emotionally,
Absolutely.
mentally, and
Yeah.
spiritually.
Yeah.
So I've tried
Beautiful.
to put some great tips in there for you, some ideas for how to work with that, and again, some guided meditations that you can grab separately and just listen to those. And they're all in one quick little place that you can go back to and re-listen, rewatch as often as it feels right for you.
Yeah. Beautiful. So this beautiful Trinity for Abundance is
Trinity
available
for
to
abundance.
you. Yeah. And it's only $19.
Yeah. Mhm.
And here's the question. What is your peace of mind worth? What is your resilience? What is your self-care? What is it for you to be able to weather life's storms in a new way that unlocks the abundance, that unlocks the possibility. So I encourage you to go to bit.ly/Trinity for abundance. And that's all lowercase and all one word. So bit.ly/Trinity for abundance. And thank you for putting this together. I can't wait to dive into it for myself because I want that. You want that too? Go to the link. Let's go ahead, Kate, if we could, we'll take some questions. So if you're with us, on Zoom, raise your hand and then I'll call on you. If you're with us on Facebook, put a question into the chat. And then if you're with us on the phone, I would say unmute yourself, but keep it quiet in the background so that we have good sound quality all around. So we've got lots of hands up so far. And if you're with us on the phone, you can just unmute yourself and then I'll call on you as we go through. So let's go ahead and start with Darlene Thorne. Good morning, Pastor Darlene.
Good morning. Oh, Kate, this was so delicious. Thank you for sharing everything with us. So I had a couple of questions. First, I wanted to know about the certification process that you went through. I also would like to know if you recommend a specific brand of oil that you believe is most pure, because I'm wanting to integrate this with my caregivers, because the caregivers definitely need to be able to relieve stress, slow down, be energized, and all of that. And also just wanted to let you know, the other thing, I created an oil myself, and one of those, in those moments of what really seemed to work. And it was a healing oil for my husband while he was in the hospital that I put on his feet and put on his body daily as he was walking through his healing process. So I do believe so much how much the oils really do help us. And can I see your bottle one more time? Because I'm wanting to know, do we also, the last question is, do we also put a carrier oil with any of these particular oils? How you put that together? I know that was a lot, but
I'm like, do I remember everything she said there?
I wrote it down, so if I need to repeat anything, just
no. First of all, I'm going to stick my email in the chat, Pastor Darlene. So I would love to have you reach out to me that we could have a conversation and maybe more fully explore some of this. I went through a program at the Institute for Spiritual Healing and Aromatherapy, and that's who I currently teach for. And I'm going to put the try to put that wants to put a space in there, ishahealing.com. I'm going to put that in the chat also. So it's ISHA healing, HEALING.com. And that, so you can look into that. And I'm happy to, we have introductory programs. I teach a 4-hour program that's just like the basics of application. And then we have our certification program, which Nancy and I started talking about, and I think I got off on a different track. But you can take that for education only, or if it feels like you want certification. And sometimes when we're utilizing that within our business realm, it's great to have that certification that we can go back to those credentialing and know what it is that, you know, that we have a real good basis for that. And we have great resources in that program. We have like 200+ page books for each of the levels. We have 3 levels of certification. We talk about the emotional, the spiritual aspects of the oil, as well as the physical and mental aspects of the oil and the properties and how to use them. And even in the first level, we cover over 30 oils and how to use them and all of that sort of stuff. And we talk about chemistry and all kinds of good stuff that like helps us understand what is happening, but then also lets us experience that too, because we include in there, and this was part of what makes this program so incredible, is we add some healing touch techniques, and nobody else in the world is adding that into their aromatherapy certification. So we give you some great tools to be able to build on that and be able to really experience what is happening with the oils in a way that we can use with ourselves, we can use with our clients, perfect for caregivers to be able to do that, Pastor Darlene. I make a personal choice to use Young Living. I've been using oils for over 20 years now, and that has been the oil of choice for myself. But when I teach classes, I teach brand neutral, because I believe that we all get to do our own research. But I will talk to you in any of my oil classes about what to look for in an oil and how to do some research, and what are the questions you want to make sure you have answers to if you're going to choose that. I will just caution that many of the essential oils that are sold retail are of very poor quality. Anytime you see all the oils at the same price, when you see oils that are really below market value, you probably want to run screaming from those. So when they're on an end cap in a big box store, not where you want to get your oils.
So
I'm a Melaleuca girl, so
so also
Go ahead.
one of the questions that was wrapped in there was about using a carrier oil. And what is a carrier oil?
Yeah.
So that's good.
A carrier oil is probably what I thought oils were, because, when I started using essential oils, I didn't really recognize the difference. So carrier oils are fatty oils. They often come from vegetables or nuts. So things like coconut oil or olive oil is a great one that many of us probably have in our home. And then jojoba, which is technically a wax, but it is a great carrier oil. So they're fatty, they're lipophilic, and the oils love them. They like to mix with them, and it gives you an opportunity to be able to dilute the oils so that they're not just neat, because some of the oils might create some irritation on our skin or may even feel too strong. Like, if we were going to take like oregano or thyme oil or something like that, too strong in our, mucous membranes in our nose, that we want to be careful with that. So you absolutely could take the recipe that I did and add some carrier oil to it to dilute it. One, make the scent a little bit, subtle. And also, especially if you're sensitive or new to oils, I really highly recommend that. In my case, I didn't in this, but usually I'm either smelling it from the bottle or I'm just putting one drop on the palm of my hand to use that. So
I've used almond oil as well
Mhm.
as a
Yeah, almond, oh my gosh, there's like literally hundreds of different carrier oils. Almond is great. I choose not to use nut oils with my clients because some people have a nut allergy.
allergies,
And
yeah.
so personally, hazelnut is one of my very favorites, and it's something I use a lot for myself. Rosehip is another one, borage oil. I mean, there's so many different carrier oils that are, and again, just like with our oils, we want to look for high quality, things that are organic, things that are cold pressed, things that aren't refined, that they don't have the smell and the color taken out of them. So
Beautiful. Darlene, thank you for such great questions,
you.
sparking a beautiful
yeah.
conversation.
And please reach out to me. I'd happy to expand on that conversation with you.
Yeah. So if you're interested in learning more and taking classes on essential oils, like she just gave you like this much that's available.
Yeah.
So be sure to check out the classes that are offered at ishahealing.com. So that's ISHA healing.com. And you'll see the various classes that are offered there for aromatherapy, as well as healing touch spiritual ministry. Great, amazing work. I'm proud to be on the board of this beautiful nonprofit as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure it's on the website yet, but I do have a level 1 class coming up in November. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me and I'll make sure you get the information.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Darlene. Let's go to Ann Puglisi.
Good morning. Thank you both and everyone. Hello. My husband is very sensitive to oils, so I bought them and not used them, given them away. Right now I'm sitting with a few that are, one of them says expired 5 years ago. I'm wondering uh, how long do oils last? Do they ever expire? And also any thoughts you have about, I think you might have answered, you said you can breathe them in instead of putting them on your skin. So I'm wondering what your thoughts on that, please.
Yeah. So, one of the things that, everybody has their own environment, if we think about our body that way. And sometimes, especially if we have some emotional toxicity, if we've had to be on a lot of medication, maybe if our diet's not real clean, sometimes we can have some reaction because the oils like to get rid of toxins. And so people that are really sensitive, when utilizing them on their skin, that can be an issue. However, the other thing is you really want to look at the quality of the oil, because sometimes there's synthetic things that are added in that are also irritants. So you want to try to make sure you're using genuine oils. I will tell you that they have found essential oils in the pyramids in Egypt, and they've tested them and they were still viable. So perfect conditions, right? Dark,
Great.
cool, in the right kind of container, because they're probably like in an alabaster jar with a wax top. And so, we know that they're thousands of years old and that they're still viable. So good, genuine essential oils, what will happen is they will start to, the therapeutic properties might start to degrade as they get older, but they won't get bad but if you have a carrier oil in them, carrier oils can get rancid. So you have to watch things that are blended with a carrier oil. You don't want to keep things on your shelf forever. Use your oils. If my oils that I use don't have an expiration date, because they're made in a way that they should not expire if they're cared for properly. So dark, cool places, dark bottles, things like that are necessary. But I will say that citrus oils, even good citrus oils that are stored properly, after 2 or 3 years can start to, degrade a little bit, that they may not be as potent as they once were. And, it depends on the type of oil. But, I have some in my closet here that have, are probably 10, 12, 15 years old, even, that are kind of a specialty that I only break out occasionally. And they're still great. So, and as far as using with your husband, one of my favorite ways to think about this is a water-based diffuser. Is so incredible that it just put a few drops in a water-based diffuser and let it shift your room. Use that as an air freshener instead of all the synthetic, the synthetic that we breathe in and that plug into our wall and all of that. So harsh on our neurological system, on our respiratory system, on our endocrine system. So that's a great way to start using your oils in a very subtle way, and look for things that he might like maybe he'll like a tree oil or a citrus oil rather than a flowery oil.
Great suggestions.
Thanks, Anne. Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's go. We've got 5 minutes and 2 more callers in queue. Let's go to Adele Alexander.
I am so happy I got on this Wow Wednesday today, because I love essential oils, and I was gifted a box of them. I can't locate it right this minute, but it was a wooden box with a selection of essential oils, which I don't actually know how to use. So I know that one of my friends had given me an essential oil that was for repelling bugs, and it actually worked. And of course, all those insect sprays are not good for you. And I'm allergic to several kinds of insect bites. So I was really happy to have that. And I liked what you said about labeling, because I have a mysterious dark bottle with a dropper in my bathroom and I have no idea what's still in it. So labeling is very important. But I just wondered if, I'm going to listen to your talk and get the ebook and everything. But I wondered if there was a good place to start. I am feeling very anxious from getting my place organized, because the homeowners association is coming to do a inspection and I have craft clutter all over my house. So I'm very anxious about that. What could I take to help me through this?
So one of my favorite things to do when I'm feeling anxious is to look at some tree oils. So tree oils, things like fir and pine and cypress or cedar wood, spruce oils. Tree oils, when we think about it, they come from a tree. They help to ground us. They give us roots.
Mm,
They give us a strong core through
Mhm.
the center, so we're connected with our authentic self. And their branches lift up to the sky to be able to connect us to God, to the source of all that is. And so we have that whole connection when we utilize a tree oil. And oftentimes, if you want to use them topically, I'll put them on my feet so that we
mm.
really grow those roots and let that strength and courage, build all the way through us to let go of that, feeling of overwhelm and stress that you're experiencing, so that you just start taking one step at a time and that you'll get it done.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
Really
So
good.
please reach out to me, Adele, if you'd like, and I can help you, see what is the next right step for you to be able to learn to, use your oils in a different way. And I just
Right,
have
you
to,
got this. You got this box. Put it to use, right?
yeah, let's see
Exactly.
what we can do for you.
That would be wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much, Adele. And
Great, great.
yeah, thank
I love
you.
that whole thing about trees are grounding and then the
Yeah.
branches open you up to the air because it's such a great image of
Yeah.
being with it, I guess is the best way to say it. Yeah, grounded and at the same time open to the air. I love it.
Fantastic. Oh, good questions, bringing us right to the top of the hour today. We've got about a minute left. Does anybody have a final question or comment that you want to share with Kate? I want to encourage you all to get the bundle that she put together, especially to support you in unlocking your abundance. So go to bit.ly/Trinity for Abundance. So all one word, all lowercase, Trinity for Abundance. And also go to her main website, KateBrownHealingEssentials.com. And she's got a free guide for you there. She's got amazing resources for you to check out. So thank you all for being with us today. Miss Kate, thank you
Well,
for
thank
pouring
you.
into us and giving us so many ways to be lifted up today.
Yeah, and a shout out to some of my support system, Carol Comator, who's the founder of Healing Touch for Animals, that I have the pleasure and the gift to work with, where we use essential oils and energy work with our animals, and Deb Reese, who's my very first aromatherapy teacher and has been
Oh,
a
that's
friend and a
beautiful.
mentor and a guide for so many years in my life. So and for everybody, Laura and Nellie and everybody who shared love there in the chat. Thank you guys so much. It was such an honor and a privilege and part of my gift of service to be here with Nancy today.
I'm so happy and I'm so grateful. Thank you for lifting me today. And to all of our callers, thank you for joining us on Wow Wednesday. We'll be back with another wonderful Wow next week that we know you're going to love. So save this new number. We'll see you next week. Between now and then, get out there and make it a Wow day. Bye, everyone. Bye, Kate. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you,
Thank
Nancy.
you.
Thank you, Kate.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Welcome.
Susan.
Nancy.
Bye, everyone.
Sue.